It's me. So I've been wanting to make a YouTube video for a while, and I decided today's the day. So there's so much to tell you guys, and I really want to update you guys on where I am with my vision and how I did it. And I realize it's been a long time since I made my last video, so I want to apologize for that. I spent much of the last year in a pretty bad place. I was diagnosed with corneal neuralgia, and I spent much of the year trying to heal that. And it wasn't a straight path to healing, so it was pretty traumatic, and I wasn't in a place where I could make YouTube videos. However, I'm feeling really great today, and I would say I'm about 90% healed, so I thought today will be the day to make a YouTube video. My vision hasn't changed, and I realize I've had tons of time to improve my vision, but I just wasn't focused on improving my vision in the last year. Instead, I was trying to heal my corneas from a traumatic injury, and that took a lot of time and a lot of self-teaching about ophthalmology. I visited 19 different doctors before I actually found one who prescribed me the correct treatment. So I now know more about the ocular disease side, which is great, but it costed me a lot to get there. About vision and what you guys are always asking me about, one of the top YouTube comments I get is, how did you do it? And honestly, there isn't one straight answer. Even when you go to endmyopia.org, there's so much information, and it can be pretty intimidating if you don't know where to start. But I'll try to sum it up the best I can. Ideally, what I did is called the reduced lens method, paired with active focus and relaxation techniques. I also have a method that I call diopter safety, and I'll talk a little bit about that too. If you've watched my other two YouTube videos, you know I started at about a prescription of -8 combined, and then I gradually reduced until I reached a prescription of -5. I would say today I'm experiencing a little bit of strain. Lately, I've been really addicted to my phone. I've been constantly checking Robinhood and my investment broker apps. So because I taught myself investing, that meant that I've incurred additional screen time, and I'm holding on to a lot more strain. So I would say I'm probably sitting closer to a -5.25, and maybe on a really bad day, -5.5. Haven't really been measured lately, so I can't really prove it, but I do have other prescriptions that I can share from the past that show a regression backwards. And the way I did it is basically I continuously wore weaker and weaker lenses until my eyes adjusted. A lot of you guys have asked me about the pacing, and initially I started with just 0.25 weaker than what I was currently seeing 20/20 with. And then as my eyes adjusted, I would purchase new lenses from iBuyDirect.com or Zenni Optical, and my eyes would get used to the new prescription within 3 weeks or so, within the first 90 days of me practicing this. About 90 days into this method, my eyes plateaued, and I started experiencing a slowdown in gains. After the 3-month mark, you start to see a progression rate of about 0.25 every 3 months. So it definitely slows down. And a few of you have asked me about astigmatism. I also reduced my astigmatism, and I also practice patching to even out my 2 eyes. So what I recommend is you start with the spherical first, and then you not all the way, but you relax your spherical prescription, and then gradually, as you feel like it might have stabilized, you introduce the reduction of astigmatism too. I personally felt like astigmatism took longer to reduce than spherical, and I had a pretty high astigmatism as well. Do not touch the axis. The axis is a measure of degrees, so you'll always want to keep that number the same. And if you have an astigmatism of -0.75 or weaker, that is safe to drop entirely, as Jake says. I just want to talk a little bit about expectations. This is something that I found a few years ago, and I was convinced that this method was going to allow me to throw my glasses and allow me to see clearly for life. I've noticed an increase in clarity. This has not made me get rid of my glasses entirely, and if anything, it's actually made my life a little bit more complex because it means that I require different prescriptions for different situations. And I also, because of my cornea injury, I now require prosthetic lenses to protect my cornea, and those cannot be adjusted too frequently. They're locked in at a pretty strong prescription. So I only wear them when absolutely necessary, and I protect my eyes by wearing plus lenses sometimes. Now, when you work with an optometrist who's going to help you reduce your prescription, sometimes they might not be as enthusiastic as you are to do this, because their job is to allow you to see as perfectly and as clearly today and not in the future. And this is something I've really disagreed with allopathic medicine. It's a pretty controversial topic, and I feel it's a really contentious issue in the industry, and you have to get around that by making exceptions. One way to do that is to tell your optometrist that you're experiencing strain when you sit in front of the computer with your prescription that you use to drive, and that you feel more comfortable in your older prescription, and that you'd like a prescription for reading or something like that. There's all kinds of ways to talk to optometrists, and more often than not, if you're kind to them, they will be willing to work with you. But I don't recommend necessarily attacking the modern day optometry industry and telling them about endmyopia right out of the gate. So you want your optometrist to be able to work with you and help you along your journey. Also, a few things you'll need when you start your vision improvement journey: access to affordable glasses at any strength and any prescription. So you can use iBuyDirect.com or Zenni Optical, or you can use 1-800-contacts.com to use contact lenses. You'll need a supportive optometrist, a tape measurer to measure the centimeters to your distance to blur, a Snellen chart, so that's the chart that you look at the optometrist's office with a big E on top, an eye patch. If you have two different prescriptions in your eyes, you'll want to occlude or cover your good eye to stimulate your brain to pay more attention to your bad eye. And also a storage system. So as you start to rack up many pairs of glasses, you're going to want to stay organized so that you can recognize the strength and power of each pair of glasses. I did this with labels, and you can use a label maker, or you can write on the boxes that the glasses come in, whatever works for you. I also want to talk about screen addiction. So I definitely have a screen addiction. My iPhone screen time meter is off the charts, probably because I spend a great deal of time doing my job on the go, responding to messages while I'm out running errands, checking my investment apps. So I'm always in front of a screen, and I'm really not the best candidate because I have these habits. But if you really want to see gains and you want your vision to progress faster, you want to have a lot of exposure to sunlight, and you're going to want to be outside as often as possible, and you're going to want to practice the 20-20-20 rule, which is every 20 minutes, taking a 20-second break to look 20 feet away or more. Some doctors claim that 20-20-40 is pretty good, so you're going to want to take 40 seconds to see 40 feet away. Ultimately, 20 feet and beyond is great, as long as you're just not staring at the computer for longer than 20 minutes. So practice that rule and your gains will speed up. I want to show you guys one more thing. Check this out. One of my greatest fans sent me this, and this is going to make it so much easier to describe what happens to the eye when it's overprescribed. So check this out. So I'll take the top off here, okay, and that's the optic nerve in there, and then we got the vitreous in here, okay, that's filled with fluid, and then in here we have the lens, right, and the lens here's behind the iris, and then here's the cornea. Now, this is the part I damaged. You got to protect that, okay? It's important. It's very sensitive. But what happens is when you are wearing a prescription that is too strong for you, the lens will expand. It'll become very big and it'll push up against this vitreous. And what that does is it creates a pressure internally and the eye starts to elongate and you end up with an American football eye instead of a soccer ball eye. So you want to keep this lens relaxed. And the way you do that is you stay on the edge of blur, right? You only wear a prescription that is just strong enough to see what's in front of you, but not necessarily give you strain, give you a headache. And the muscles that connect the lens to the interior of the eye are called the ciliary muscles, and they're these little red ones right in here. So, isn't that cool? Thank you, Michael, for the amazing model. I'll be sure to use it in future videos. That's all for today. Let me know if you guys have any questions and I'll be doing my best to answer them in the comments. Also, I'll put my contact info in the description box below so you guys can follow me on Instagram or you can email me. I try my best to respond to emails. If I don't reply, please just remind me and I'll get back to you. Happy vision training. Have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe, please, for the algorithm. Bye.